Hi everybody, hope you're well. This video I'm going to talk about the best way to care for 1,000 horses for the purposes of aging point hunting. So this is mostly going to be about aging point hunting, but it's also going to be about ways of making it easier and faster. So now some of these things are going to require VIP, they're going to require certain divines, but some of the stuff doesn't. So this is going to be applicable to both people without VIP, without certain divines. It's just going to be a mix of things. And it's something you build up on. So it's taken me a very long time to get to where I am right now. But so for, let's see, best breeders. So if we look here, number of horses cared for yesterday, of over 1,000 cared for. Now the reason you don't want to go over 1,000 really is just because after 1,000 you don't get any more agent points. Now the reason for this is it's a cap. It's to stop people using bots and scripts and so forth. So basically automated ways of doing it instead of doing it yourself. So what I'm going to be talking about is ways to do it yourself. So the first thing I do whenever I log on to Howrse, now if you have this divine, is go to Shenmue. And I have a video on Shenmue, so if you don't know about Shenmue, go and look at my video. I think it's Shenmue 1.5 bonus. So I look at the Shenmue and I see if I got the bonus. Now today I didn't get it, so my Shenmue just finds skills for me. But I do that every day because occasionally when it wakes up it triggers a bonus, which is a 1.5 times more chance to find agent points. With horses woken up between the time the bonus is triggered and the next daily update. So that's the reason that I always look at Shenmue first, because it means I can get more agent points for the same amount of horses. So I look after about 1,000 horses a day, and I make sure that none of them have Morpheus arms on them. I do this before I blup. Most of them are immortal. Some of them have Hypnose Blankets, which means I don't have to board them, which I find really is the most tedious thing, because if you have to board 1,000 horses every once in a while, it's really time consuming. And if you're gonna aging point hunt every day, I would advise boarding your horses for as long as possible. So 300, or sorry, not 300, 30 to 60 days. If you board for 3 days, if you spend all day boarding 1,000 horses for 3 days each, in 3 days time you're going to have to reboard them, so there you're going to have to spend a couple of hours doing that again. So that's what I do. Now obviously sometimes they get onboarded, as you can see here, there's a couple here that was onboarded, which is a bit of a pain, but it's better to put them in for a long period of time, because generally then they're alright. So if you don't have equus enough for boarding them for long periods of time, then I would try avoid boarding all 1,000 horses on the same day. So board them in bits and pieces. So if I just have a look here, so in this farm I have horses, immortal horses that I have yet to board. In another farm I have immortals that I've already boarded, and I think there's about nearly 800 in here. So I spent time daily just putting in a few, so I'd board maybe 50 one day, 20 another day, maybe 100 one day, and I just keep doing it until I got most of them boarded. It's a lot easier. So about 600, 800 of the horses which I hunt daily are immortal horses. And the reason I use immortal horses, and I'm going to show you right now, is, well, I'm trying to think, is there more than one reason, but the main reason I use immortal horses is because immortal horses will never die. And it means that I can groom them, and you can see your horse will age in 9 hours and 7 minutes. So that's how I know my horse will wake up the next day and be able to find agent points. I don't have to feed it. Now the problem is, if I don't do lessons with it, then I'm not gaining back the equus I used to board it. But because I have so many and I like to just get through them, I don't do lessons with them. But if you want to get the money back that you spent boarding them, then I would advise doing lessons. So lesson and groom and just go through them like that. So, or mission and groom. But personally, whenever I'm doing them, I just go groom, click, groom, and so forth. Now sometimes some of them get onboarded, so I'll have to go and reboard them. So generally I just go through them like this, as you can see, and I find that a lot easier and a lot quicker to do than going through them at a massive amount, having to do all the cares and the lessons and everything would sort of drive me insane. So you can see most of them are about 10% health, but they'll never die because they have the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I've spent years collecting this many of immortal horses. I didn't go and buy Philosopher's Stones for each of them, because that would have, been bankruptcy. So that's the way I did it, was I just bought some every single day, because you have a lot of people that join the game and they all get a foundation horse, which is made immortal for them. There is loads of horses there to buy because every person that registered basically gets an immortal starter horse. So you don't have to go and buy the best ones. Now, as I said, the downside to not feeding them is they get low health. And if you don't do that, then you couldn't do, if you wanted to sit and do, skill them a wee bit or train them, you would want to make sure that you feed them as well. I don't feed them because they're not going to die on me. But obviously, if they were mortal horses, you would have to feed them. Now, my eventual aim is to have all of these immortal horses with Hypnose Blankets. Now, the great thing about Hypnose Blankets, so we'll go to my immortal horses with Hypnose Blankets. So I've only got a few here, but we'll just sort of get a rough sort of gist of this. So I'll just stick them on. So the great thing about an immortal horse with a Hypnose Blanket is purely because I don't ever have to board them in an AC. So they're not costing me money, I don't have to feed them, and they're basically, they're going to collect me agent points for pretty much no cost at all, other than the initial cost that I had to put into buying them, for example. So that's what I think is great in that respect. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do you get Hypnose Blankets? You could go into the exchanges and you can get them. The other way to do it, which is quite nice, is you just go and you find somebody that has a Frost Divine. We'll see if I can find mine. There it is. And then you click Defrost. And sometimes when you defrost it, you get a Hypnose Blanket. I didn't on this occasion, but you don't have to own a Frost to do that, so that's pretty great. Now, I remember years ago, and I don't know if it still applies, I kind of feel like it does, but I haven't. Whenever I IAP hunt, I tend to do like 900 or adults, maybe 100 or 50 of them are foals. I do tend to find that you get a higher rate of agent points with foals, but because I haven't actually done, been able to care for a large number of foals in one go, I wouldn't stake money on it, but I just generally do seem to find that I find more. The other great thing, if you're VIP, is the pre-selected food perk. So if we have a look here, pre-selected food, I'm going to look for this because there, get the right amount of pre-selected food. So that means that if you are caring for a lot of horses and you don't have immortals, it automatically picks the amount of food, so you don't have to sit and select it all. So that'll save you time too. The other thing is the auto bedding, which I forgot to mention when I was looking here, because you might have noticed that whenever I click groom on my horses, they automatically go to bed. That's because I have this VIP perk, which is because I own a Rain Divine. So if we go down here, Rain bed horses automatically when groomed. So basically, if you have a Rain Divine, that's handy too. So as I said, if you don't have the Rain Divine, actually I'll just disable this for the sec. If you didn't have a Rain Divine, it would be like this. You'd have to click groom, put to bed, groom, put to bed. But really, you're saving yourself, if you're using Immortal Horses, really, you're saving yourself clicking a couple of extra buttons. So either you're going to have to click 2 buttons or you're going to have to click 1. So it's not too bad in that sense. But it does take time to do, but once you have a good base of them, it's much easier to go through, much easier to hunt, and usually more cost effective than having to do them without that. So, see if this fold is in the wrong farm, we'll have to move that. But it's just generally to give you a rough idea of ways that you can sort of improve and just make it easier to do. Because actually I have found since the new updates, I just find that because of the water shock, I'm getting more energy. I can finish blips faster because I'm getting more energy during the actual blipping and all that. And really, I can use agent points to do mares now and it doesn't really bother me. So I think agent point hunting in that respect is a lot better. Granted, it does take time and you need to have the time to do it. So anyway guys, I hope this was helpful and I hope you had a lovely day. Bye bye.